This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
We'll stay with the victim until they no longer need us, whether that's a week, 2 weeks, a month, a year, depending on the situation.
Long after deputies leave and the crime scene tape is cleared away, victims' advocates continue to work. These civilians are under immense pressure and often become the central lifeline for victims of crime. Tonight we'll show you the critical role they play and explain what rights and resources victims have available. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on National Crime Victims' Rights Week coming up, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. And we begin tonight in Bradenton, where a suspect is dead after a 6-hour hostage standoff. It happened at the Pescara Lake Mobile Home Park on 57th Avenue West this afternoon. Sheriff's deputies shot and killed 68-year-old Glenn Wattenpool. According to the sheriff's office, Wattenpool was angry over an eviction notice and took the park manager, Mike Alba, hostage inside the clubhouse. After 6 hours of negotiation, the SWAT team went in. When Wattenpool opened fire, deputies shot back.
He made the point a couple times that this was his day to be heard, and this is how he was going to do it.
Alba is in the hospital tonight after being treated for a head injury. Apparently, Wattenpool hit him in the head with a gun. No deputies were injured. A follow-up on an ethics investigation into a Manatee County judge and 2 Palmetto attorneys. The Florida Bar Association is filing an ethics complaint against Judge John Lakin with the Florida Supreme Court. Lakin admitted to accepting baseball tickets from attorneys for the Callens, Little, and Delgado law firm while their clients had cases pending before him. Lakin resigned from the bench last year. A new report shows Florida is leading the nation in complaints about fraud. According to the Federal Trade Commission, more than 269,000 people in our state reported some type of fraud last year. Debt collection schemes were the most common type, followed by imposter scams and identity theft.
These people have my social security number. They have my driver's license. They know what I look like. You know, they have my address. So it's very scary.
This is the second year Florida has led the nation. Georgia and Michigan were second and third. Now to Northport, where the city is reversing an ordinance because of backlash from boat owners. The city commission is rewriting the rule banning boat owners from keeping their vessels parked in the front of their homes. The city received a series of complaints after boat owners began receiving citations.
I had chosen to move into a non-deed restricted neighborhood for a good reason. I didn't want local government in my business.
Well, it wasn't just about boats. It was about ice cream trucks. It was about commercial vehicles.
The change is now in effect. However, the city is writing a new, improved ordinance. Sarasota County could expand commercial kayak and paddleboard rentals. Right now, companies can only operate at the Ted Sperling Nature Park on South Lido. The county is considering expanding permitting to Turtle Beach Park. You can let the county know what you think about the idea at a meeting Thursday, April 18th at the Turtle Beach Park Community Room. The city of Sarasota is taking a new approach to raising awareness about sea level rise. This poll is now up on Lido Beach. It lists parks and buildings that would be damaged or submerged as the Gulf rises. It also gives information on what you can do to reduce the risk and lower your carbon footprint. City officials say they have received some complaints about from skeptics, but they want to do their part to get this critical information out and spark discussion. Now to a developing story in Northport. A 10-acre brush fire at the Prairie Creek Preserve is now 95% contained, according to the Florida Department of Forestry. The fire had threatened several homes, but they are no longer at risk and no damage was sustained. There's also a 3-acre brush fire nearly under control. Fire officials say lightning was likely what caused the sparked the blaze. They expect similar fires to keep popping up throughout the week. You're asked to call 911 if you see smoke or flames. And Bob, we were talking about that just last week.
We sure were, and it was smoldering fires that can occur as a result of the lightning, which can reach temperatures 5,000 degrees, even higher than that at times, and that causes the fires. And sometimes they don't start right away, but you need that dry air and wind to fan the flames and eventually cause serious conditions. I'm going to show you the lightning strikes that occurred. You can see a lot of that moving through at around 8 to 9 o'clock this morning into Venice and places down south near Northport and into Charlotte County. and some of that lightning occurring outside of the rain area. You see some of those blue strokes of the higher temperature strikes and more energy associated with them. So that's the reason why the fire officials are kind of concerned about these smoldering fires, which will be starting up periodically throughout the next 48 hours at least. Now, the area in red or pink that you see right there, that's a high fire risk. And what that means is a red flag warning, the relative humidity less than 35% in those particular areas. Because the wind is coming out of the northwest, we're not in that quite yet, but we could be tomorrow. That fire warning will be, I think, kind of a common thing to see over the next couple of weeks at least. Now, rainfall was sporadic at best. You can see the heaviest rain by far near Venice and over South Sarasota County, not much into Manatee County. 70 right now, and the dew point is low at 49. That humidity is much more bearable at 47%, but it's not the best news for firefighters as we have a strong northwest wind and low humidity around, and that's going to be the case, I think, through the day on Friday and Saturday. Winds will stay strong out of the northwest tonight, anywhere from 10 to 15, gusts as high as 20, and small craft advisories are in effect through the coastal waters until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Well, more in the forecast. Let you know about the jacket and sweater weather for the next couple of days. Back to you.
It's a nice break.
Yeah, it is.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, taking back your life in the aftermath of a crime. Many victims are unsure of where to turn or what to do. When we return, we'll introduce you to the civilians at local law enforcement agencies who help guide people through the process no matter how long it takes.
The official Suncoast Storm team at ABC7. We're here for you.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help. And the Affordable Care Act guarantees coverage of substance abuse. Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Are you losing hope? You can recover and get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares.
Call 1-800-764-8708. That's 1-800-764-8708.
The Sarasota Film Festival is March 31st through April 9th, featuring independent films from around the world, panels, parties, and conversations with stars, all happening in downtown Sarasota.
You don't want to miss it, so get your festival guide and choose the films and events you want to attend.
Buy your tickets online, by phone, or at the Hollywood 20 box office. They go fast, so get them now.
So join us to see and be seen.
What does it mean when New South Window says Factory Direct?
It means we have a factory.
It means we eliminate the middleman.
It means you get an award-winning, energy-efficient window at factory direct pricing.
Plus, New South windows are made in Florida.
Port Florida Home.
By Florida workers. Because we know Florida weather.
Right now, buy 2 windows, get the 3rd free, plus our lifetime warranty. New South Window. We manufacture, we install, we guarantee. Call now.
We often talk about the rights of the accused, as we should, but many times it seems the rights and needs of the victims either take a back seat or don't get much attention. Not tonight. ABC7's Adam Cellini is here to explain. Adam.
Yeah, well, Alan, every year this National Crime Victims' Rights Week is a chance to shine the spotlight on these victims and the people who help them.
It's so painful. It is so painful, I can't even describe it.
On October 2nd, 1994, a bullet ended the life of 31-year-old Ronnie Mitchell and left mother Sherry Mitchell to deal with that loss.
You try to stay strong. We did. Get all the answers that you could, get all the facts. And then, of course, you fall apart.
The girlfriend who shot him was never charged, but when the dust settled, they got a call from a victim's advocate at the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office.
To this day, she's just a saint. That's all I can say. She helped us so much.
In 2015, more than 7,700 crimes occurred within the Sheriff's Office jurisdiction, each leaving behind one or more victims who become the responsibility of Autumn Rapolo and her team of advocates.
Sometimes they think we're deputies and we just have to re-explain to them that we're civilians. We don't have arresting powers and things like that, but we're here to just provide that support and be that extra piece for them. And most of the victims that we talk to, like I said, don't know that we exist.
Behind thousands of crime scenes and court cases are these advocates, not just from the Sheriff's Office, but also the state attorneys, as well as several local nonprofits. Their job is different every day. Emotional support, legal guidance, whatever that person may need in their darkest hour.
We'll stay with the victim until they no longer need us, whether that's a week, 2 weeks, a month, a year, depending on the situation.
If they can't be on scene, they'll call victims directly. Sergeant Gerardo Carrillo wishes they could be at every crime scene, helping deputies conduct interviews in the most precious moments of an investigation.
So you're trying to balance their, memory recall and their emotional state at the same time. So it's easier for us to be able to kind of put that emotional component over to a victim's assistance unit, so then we could focus on what our primary job is.
In the courtroom, Sarasota's chief homicide state prosecutor says their role is vital for victims.
They're going to see autopsy photos. They're going to see crime scene photos. They're going to hear eyewitnesses testify about what actually happened to the people that they loved.
Without an advocate literally and figuratively holding a victim's hand, it can be difficult to obtain justice.
Sometimes they're the star witness. Sometimes their testimony is more important than anything else I have in the case.
During National Crime Victims' Rights Week, these advocates step into the spotlight to raise awareness about their presence and their customers.
Victims don't have as many rights as defendants do, and to recognize that you're not your victimization. That victimization doesn't define you. That's not who you are.
Sherry Mitchell's experience motivated her to advocate for others. She's now the area's main contact for the national organization Parents of Murdered Children Incorporated. She meets with other suffering parents hoping to provide some comfort, but knowing closure may never come.
The only closure I had was when the closure of the coffin lid.
And Alan, even law enforcement officers can be victimized by crime. In those instances, the Victims Assistance Unit will provide emotional support for their own deputies.
Adam, thank you. Coming up, an extraordinary discussion. 2 victim advocates, 1 judge who is putting her stamp on our local court. We'll take it to the trapezoid.
Sarasota Magazine and PNC Wealth Management present the Best of Sarasota Soiree at Selby Gardens on April 24th.
It's an evening to sip, savor, and celebrate Sarasota Manatee's Best of Winners.
This year will be full of Warhol-inspired surprises, entertainment, and a tribute to those representing the best in our community.
Come join ABC7 for all the fun.
Get your tickets today at sarasotamagazine.com.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
With Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-962-4112. That's 1-800-962-4112. Call now, 1-800-962-4112.
There's a whole new way to bank at Achieva Credit Union with Achieva Checking Plus. Get new unique features like full ID theft protection and online shopping rewards. Plus, it's an interest-bearing account, so you have a little extra for what really matters. Achieva Checking Plus isn't just an account for your money, it's for your life, including cell phone insurance. And that's good to know. Discover the plus at achievacu.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
A unique celebration of a distinctive cultural gem in Sarasota. La Musica, the annual International Festival of Chamber Music, with renowned musicians from 4 continents. April 3rd through April 12th at the Sarasota Opera House and at Sainer Pavilion. Buy your tickets now.
You only have one life. Are you gambling with it? 1 in 3 adults have high blood pressure. Not knowing your numbers could cause you to lose, big time. Luckily, you can turn the odds in your favor by getting your blood pressure checked today. Don't leave your health to chance. Learn more at heart.org/HPV.
Welcome back. Every 26 seconds, someone in the U.S. becomes a victim of crime. It could be your son or daughter, your mom or your dad, or you. Each year, 3 million Americans become victims of violence. And here on the Suncoast, both the Sarasota and Manatee Sheriff's offices have teams of advocates to help victims through what is often a difficult and traumatic process from the moment the crime is committed to the courtroom. And joining us for more is Susie Brown, manager of the Victim Advocate Unit at the Manatee County Sheriff's Office, Judge Erica Quartermain of the 12th Judicial Circuit Court, and Autumn Rapolo, Victim Advocate Coordinator at the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, and one more guest, GB, if you could see right there. GB is a comfort dog. And Susie, why don't you start by explaining to me, what does the dog do?
GB, actually, we go to all appointments with child victims, and sometimes adults when they're really upset. We go to the state attorney's office when they have meetings there. We've sat in depositions, and GB's a comfort to them.
How?
They just sit there and pet him as they're talking, and we actually go in court with the child and he goes up on the stand with them, and they can pet him and just know that he's there.
Your Honor, from your perspective, how critical is it to have a victim of crime, let alone any witness, comfortable in the courtroom testifying? I could tell you from practical experience, it can be traumatic and very nerve-wracking.
Well, it's important that everyone in the courtroom feels comfortable, but there are methods under the law that provide for accommodation for victims of crime or alleged victims of crime and while they're testifying. And I think it's important when we talk about the term victim to understand that the use of the term victim does not always mean that there has been a finding of guilt or there could be a finding of guilt based upon the evidence. So we use victim often frequently before in a court of law there is an adjudication of guilt. So the methods that can be used could be clearing the courtroom of witnesses, or of spectators, for example, or providing for a therapy dog, or in some circumstances with children, providing, notwithstanding the right of confrontation by a defendant, the opportunity for a witness to testify by video.
And Autumn, that puts people like yourself in a very difficult position because you are there to assist the victim of the case, but before, as the judge said, there is a guilty finding. So how do you handle situations like that?
We work with each victim, explain to them what can happen, what the process itself, what can happen, and just kind of discuss with them what it would be like if it didn't go the way that they were hoping that it would, and work through those things. And
I would imagine there are an incredible range of emotions and people that you are dealing with through this process. Some people, no matter what the crime would be, could handle things. Other people, I would imagine, are so traumatized by what they may have experienced that it could put a prosecution or a defense into jeopardy.
Well, some victims don't even want to go to court. Some don't want to face their accuser. They just want everything to happen on the outside because they're too scared to go to court, which potentially hurts the state because they need the victim to testify. So we just help guide them through that and reassure them that we're there with them.
And Susie, how do you keep in mind that the victims in these cases are not only dealing with the legal case itself, but a whole lot of other things outside the judicial system, because in many cases their lives have changed dramatically?
We assist them the best we can as far as giving them referrals to the agencies that can help them with some of the things that are going on in their outside life, and that we support them as much as we can. And a lot of times the Attorney General's office, well, they have what's called victims' compensation, which we assist with doing the application for that, and that's for victims that have injuries or for funeral expenses, for counseling. The Attorney General's office, they make the decision on who they have qualifying to get that, but that helps them out in the moment.
And Your Honor, I can imagine how these victims are doing, whether or not there's an eventual guilty verdict or not, really has an incredible impact in terms of these trials and what happens in the courtroom. How do you balance that?
Well, you have to balance the rights of the accused, the right of that person to have a fair trial, with obviously any trauma that could be that could occur to the victim as a result of testifying. And I have to be unbiased, and I have to, when I balance those interests, make sure that I do not lead the fact finder or the jury to believe that I believe the victim is indeed a victim, because that is a fact in dispute. So every case is different, every analysis is different. The use of special accommodations for victims is done on a case-by-case basis, keeping in mind those considerations.
And I would imagine when you're dealing with children, that makes it even more complicated. But we're going to pick up on this discussion in just a moment, right after we check on our weather, so stay with us.
Attention sleep apnea sufferers. If you use CPAP therapy, if you have private insurance, or you're on a Medicare replacement plan, we may be able to help you get your CPAP supplies at little or no cost to you, and free shipping. Most insurance companies allow a patient to get a new CPAP mask, cushion, filter, and tubing every 3 to 6 months to prevent respiratory infection and skin sores.
That's why you should call Americare CPAP. Call 800-423-5457. That's 800-423-5457.
So many times we underestimate the human spirit's drive to recover. We often see people surpass what any of us might have expected initially. The Rehabilitation Pavilion at Sarasota Memorial is the top of the line. It allows us to really bring the patient's recovery to the next level.
This is an important medical announcement. BARD IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a BARD IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the BARD Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the BARD IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
Florida Studio Theater presents Piano Men, held over by popular demand through April 2nd. Attributing the virtuosity and elegance of the Piano Man, Piano Men features the works of 20th century's best pianists and songwriters. Featuring songs from music icons such as Billy Joel, Stevie Wonder, and Barry Manilow, don't miss what critics are saying is energetic, with fun and playful performances that evokes hits of an era. Piano Men is held over by popular demand. Tickets can be purchased by calling 941-366-9000 or by visiting floridastudiotheater.org.
Our discussion of victims of crime continues in a moment, but right now let's get a check on our forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Well, it's an interesting day today. We started off with rumble of thunder, some clouds, some showers, some moderate to heavy rainfall. Some areas not getting much at all. This is a Van Wezel webcam showing Sarasota Bay earlier this morning. Lots of clouds, but in the afternoon, all sunshine and the sea stays still very high, so small craft advisories are sticking around, and that's due to the strong winds around. Breezy and cooler overnight. Low temperatures will be down into the mid-50s for the most part, upper 50s right near the coast, and even colder still tomorrow night and Saturday morning. You'll really notice the difference then. Plenty of sunshine, though, in the forecast as high pressure builds in, and unfortunately for boating, it's not going to be the best on Friday. A little bit better in the afternoon, but not much, and then Saturday starting to calm down. I think Sunday the best of the next 3 days. So Sunday is a good boating day. As far as the satellite and radar picture goes, clear skies overhead, a lot of clouds to the east of the state and down to our south. Winds have been blowing strong out of the northwest, anywhere from 15 to 20, but now we are anticipating those winds to become more northerly in the morning. And then in the afternoon, they pick up again late in the afternoon. That's a result of another reinforcing shot of some cooler air moving in late Friday. So if you're going to Music on Main tomorrow night, you're going to need a jacket or sweater. It's going to get cold once that sun sets. 70 degrees right now. Dew point is at 49. Winds are out of the northwest at 15. Low dew point temperatures, strong winds mean high fire danger, especially after we have the situation we had this morning where we had the storms move through, a few of them producing some lightning strikes away from where the rain occurred, and that causes these smoldering fires to break out. 78 was the high, and that was this morning. Earlier, temperatures are continuing to fall this afternoon and this evening. No rainfall to report officially at the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport. We had some showers around, but most of those missed some areas in North Sarasota. And you can see from the forecast model, we're not anticipating any rainfall at all for the weekend and beyond, for that matter. As high pressure, a rather large one, continues to move in over the southeast United States and keep skies clear at night, and that will allow temperatures to fall well below seasonal averages. We're talking lows upper 40s to low 50s on Saturday morning. And then we will see a gradual warming trend by Sunday afternoon. 36 now in Toronto, Detroit at 37 degrees, Cleveland the same, a bit warmer in Kansas City, Albuquerque at 68, and Dallas now 76 degrees. For boaters, it shapes up to be not the best of weather tomorrow. Bays and inland waters will have a moderate chop to choppy conditions, northwest winds at 20 knots, and the water temperature now 78 degrees. The UV index will be a little higher than that 6. It'll be a 10 tomorrow, and that will continue through the weekend. High tide 10-12, and a low tide will be at 5:52 tomorrow morning. Sunset at 7:50, just about a few minutes from now. Clear skies tonight, breezy and cool, low temperature of 57 degrees. Tomorrow, look for lots of sunshine, but it will be cool. Highs in the low 70s. That's typical for February, not April. And then 71 for the high on Saturday, and we start to warm back up by Sunday afternoon. Low 80s through the work week. Alan will be right back after this. Stick around.
Are you considering joint replacement or revision surgery? Consider this. Dr. Edward Stolarski has performed thousands of successful joint replacement procedures and trained surgeons from all over the world. Using advanced technologies, Dr. Stolarski is able to perform some of the most complex surgeries.
I wish I knew about Dr. Stolarski much sooner.
After the surgery, I don't have any pain. It's like I've got a 16-year-old hip.
My name's Ed Stolarski. What I really do is I give people back their life.
Schedule a consultation today.
You love your couch and want to protect it from spills, food, and scratching, shedding pets. Introducing Couch Coat, the reversible, washable quilted cover that protects your couch. Shield against spills, wow, stop stains, and dirty pet paws and sharp claws. Plus, it's reversible with 2 stylish colors. Guaranteed to fit any couch up to 92 inches or your money back. It even has covers to protect armrests. Machine washable too.
My grandkids destroy everything, but with Couch Coat, my couch is always protected, looking as good as it did the day I bought it.
Get your Couch Coat for just $19.99, and it's reversible in brown and cream, like 2 couch coats for the price of 1. Order right now, and you can double your offer. Get a second Couch Coat. Just pay a separate fee. Order right now.
Call 1-800-943-0710 to get your couch coat. Call now or go to couchcoat.com. So call 1-800-943-0710. That's 1-800-943-0710. Call now.
There's a whole new way to bank at Achieva Credit Union with Achieva Checking Plus. Get new unique features like full ID theft protection and online shopping rewards. Plus, it's an interest-bearing account, so you have a little extra for what really matters. Achieva Checking Plus isn't just an account for your money, it's for your life, including cell phone insurance. And that's good to know. Discover the plus at achievacu.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
dog. Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us, we are discussing Crime Victims' Rights Week. What rights and resources are there available for friends, family, and even yourself after becoming a victim of crime? Our guests tonight are Susie Brown of the Manatee County Sheriff's Office, Judge Erica Quartermain, and Autumn Rapolo of the Sarasota Sheriff's Office. You know, Susie, talking about GB again, how is this dog, especially trained to help, victims who may be traumatized?
Well, we were pretty lucky with the Sheriff's Office. We had inquired about the therapy dog in 2011, a month after the law had been changed where they would allow a comfort dog or a therapy dog on the stand with kids. And GB was a career change dog from Southeastern Guide Dog. So he's been through their training with the seeing eye training. He had a minor medical issue that they couldn't place him with a blind person. Then he was trained for post-traumatic stress for a veteran, and then the veteran had to go out of the state and couldn't take him with him.
That's terrific. Your Honor, there's been so much discussion in public about, and some people get very angry that it seems like the person who's accused has more rights than the victims of crime. And many of that, those cases, because it plays out on television or in the press, you're the person who has to deal with these issues in the courtroom. So how do you strike that balance?
Well, like I said before, every case is different, and certainly the law provides a framework for us to work within, and it's our job to follow the law. So an example of that is a recent change in the law that in cases where there is a crime involving a victim, at the arrest stage, there is immediately a no contact provision as to the defendant and the victim. So the defendant is prohibited from having contact, direct or indirect, at the arrest stage. And again, we have to remember that an individual is innocent until proven guilty, but the law requires us to impose that condition.
And there are two sides of every story, but you know that in defending somebody who's been accused of a crime, a defense attorney is going to try to rebut or impeach the victim. Sometimes it seems when you watch these trials, it's very unfair how that goes about in the courtroom.
Well, the evidence code is what we operate within. Every judge is required to follow it. And it depends on the side with which you sympathize, whether you feel it is unfair, so to speak. But the evidence code is a very complex code or law, and those schooled in it understand the importance of following those rules.
And Autumn, so how do you prepare somebody for what happens in the courtroom? You have to tell them that they have to work with the prosecutors, and I want to ask you how you go about that, but also you have to prepare them for what they're going to get from the other side.
Correct. So I will sit down with the victim and explain to them from the very start, when you walk into the courtroom, this is what you're going to see. This is who's sitting on this side. This is who's sitting over here, where the judge is, where you're going to sit when you go up on the stand. And then I just talk to them about what the state, they have certain questions that they have to ask, and so does the defense attorney. And when they ask those questions, sometimes it seems like they're attacking you, but they have a job to do too. And we kind of go back and forth and give examples of what could be said, what might be said. And then after they're off the stand, I'll go and sit out in the hallway with them, take a little break and kind of bounce off of them. Where are you at? How are you feeling? You did a really good job. And just kind of go back and forth with them.
Who trained you to do this? How is this done?
Well, a lot of it's hands-on training, but we are designated training through the Florida Attorney General's office. Designation training, it's a 40-hour training that we go through. We constantly go to different trainings for different subject matters. I know myself and Susie Brown were both Florida Crisis Response Team trained as well, and that's another 40-hour training that we go through.
And Autumn was saying in Adam's story that you're with the victim, right after the crime all the way through the prosecution, sometimes after. What happens in many cases after the trial is over, even if it gets that far, in terms of helping these people move on from that process?
Well, in the criminal justice system, if the person is convicted, a lot of times there's appeals, which can come 10 years or 20 years after the actual conviction. So that victim has to, once again, know that that person could possibly get out of prison. For the victims, a lot of times anniversary dates can trigger emotional times for them, because it kind of reminds them of things, or it could be anything that watching a movie or something like that. So that's why we recommend that they get counseling, and everyone's different. The length of counseling is different for everyone, but it's very important to be able to process and put all the pieces back, because it's like somebody throws up a puzzle and it scatters. You have to put those pieces back.
Your Honor, what do you see here on the Suncoast? Because when we introduce these stories, the number of Americans who are victims of crime every couple of seconds is really kind of incredible, and victims of violent crime. What trend do you see in our courts here on the Suncoast? We always hear about the level of crime. I mean, are you seeing more difficult cases come in, or is it the same it's been for the last 5-10 years?
Well, I've been in the criminal justice system in one role or another probably for over 10 years now, and my experience, or the caseloads, are very similar. The types of crimes you see sometimes will increase and decrease, based upon certain law enforcement strategies or priorities, but my belief is the caseloads are very similar today.
Let me ask you all this question. Is there a difference in how victims of crime fare through the system between a high-profile case that you may be watching on this station or reading about in the paper, or those cases that never get much attention at all?
I think a lot of victims, because they're so involved in their own victimization, they're in their heads. Once they see it on TV, and it's a constant reminder of everything, they're just trying to get through the next day. And when they see it on TV, they see it in the news, they read all the posts about it, the comments, some are good, some are bad. So then they react to that as well, and either get re-traumatized or are feeling very comforted by some of the comments that are out there.
And I think that we treat all victims with the same service. It doesn't matter how high of a profile case or how small of a case it is. In that victim's mind, it's not a small case for them.
Right.
So we give them the same service as we would.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have final thoughts from the guests.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
For years, I told everyone my Craftmatic adjustable bed was the greatest until I got the new Craftmatic Legacy. It has an adjustable pillow feature that's awesome. You're gonna want one too when you see how little they cost.
If you've ever had a bad night's sleep, call and price the new Craftmatic Legacy. It has so much more than other adjustables and still costs up to 50% less, featuring a rising adjustable pillow rest, bedside power plugs, underbed night lights, and more. Available in all mattress types with optional heat and soothing massage for as much as half the price of Tempur-Pedic, Sleep Number, and other adjustables. Enjoy temporary relief of low back pain, nighttime heartburn, mild arthritis. Adjust the rising pillow feature to help align your head, neck, and shoulders. See for yourself with our 30-day in-home trial. So call and price one today for less, up to 50% less.
You get so much more and it still costs less. You gotta see how little they cost.
Call 1-800-237-0214. That's 1-800-237-0214. Call 1-800-237-0214. Call now.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
Since 2014, Addiction Hope and Helpline has answered calls for recovery and treatment 24/7, 365 days a year. If you're depressed, drinking, using drugs, or taking pills, call now and talk to someone who cares.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Most insurance covers substance abuse. You can get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call 800-622-1941. 800-622-1941.
Welcome back. Being the victim of a crime, you can leave feeling powerless, but there is help out there, support and resources available. What is the best way to access them? Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And Your Honor, what do you want people who are watching this tonight to take away from this conversation?
Well, first I want to thank you for having me, but I think it's important for the viewers to understand that court is a place of competing interests. And in a criminal case, you have an adversarial system, the state attorney and the defense attorney. And the state attorney is the person tasked with advancing arguments to provide for certain accommodations to victims and to work with law enforcement to ensure that any accommodations or work or support can be done.
And Susie, that's the difficult thing. The courts aren't, it's in many cases, you may feel that you have been victimized, but you don't always get the result that you want, and that makes your job pretty tough.
That is correct. And, we make sure we tell people that, you don't always find justice going through the court system. However, that you always have support. And I think that's the biggest thing is for crime victims to know that there are victim advocates out there to go with them, that they don't have to go through this alone. And that through a lot of agency has victim advocates as well, and not only the Sheriff's Office, but State Attorney's Office, as well as some of the domestic violence shelters.
And all of them, from a resource point of view, do you have more resources, and are there more resources out there for victims than there ever have been before?
There's a ton of resources for victims. It's not just our units that are there for you, but CPC, the Jewish Children's Federation, or Foundation rather, Spark, you name it. There's almost something for everyone. We can point you in the right direction and have you get some help.
And is there any other takeaway that you think that people out there should know?
I think Susie hit it right on the head. You're not alone. You've got us, you've got your support system, and when you're down and low, we're there to help pick you up and get you through.
It's a perfect place to leave it. Thank you all for being here tonight. Susie Brown is the Victim Advocate Unit Manager at the Manatee County Circuit Court. Judge Erica Quartermain is on the bench for the 12th Judicial Circuit, and Autumn Rapolo is a Victim Coordinator at the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office. When we return, we'll have a final look at your weather, plus going nuclear. Republicans are taking a drastic measure to confirm Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch. Find out how the historic move will change the Senate in our prime time headlines.
There's a whole new way to bank with Achieva Checking Plus. You get new features like cell phone protection for 3 phones, plus an interest-bearing account. And that's good to know. Discover all the benefits at AchievaCU.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
The official salon of ABC7. Cutting loose salon.
What does it mean when New South Window says Factory Direct?
It means we have a factory.
It means we eliminate the middleman.
It means you get an award-winning, energy-efficient window at factory direct prices.
Plus, New South windows are made in Florida.
Port Florida Home.
By Florida workers. Because we know Florida weather.
Right now, buy 2 windows, get the 3rd free, plus our lifetime warranty. New South Window. We manufacture, we install, we guarantee. Call now.
Florida Studio Theater presents Piano Men, held over by popular demand through April 2nd. Attributing the virtuosity and elegance of the Piano Man, Piano Men features the works of 20th century's best pianists and songwriters. Featuring songs from music icons such as Billy Joel, Stevie Wonder, and Barry Manilow, don't miss what critics are saying is energetic with fun and playful performances that evokes hits of an era. Piano Men is held over by popular demand. Tickets can be purchased by calling 941-366-9000 or by visiting FloridaStudioTheater.org.
There's a whole new way to bank with Achieva Checking Plus. You get new features like full ID theft protection, and that's good to know. Discover all the benefits at AchievaCU.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on the weather from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. Breezy and cooler conditions have settled in behind the rain and storminess this morning. There had been some damage down to our south with a waterspout that turned into a tornado into South Pine Island there near Fort Myers, but luckily we avoided all the severe weather. Lots of sunshine in the forecast and unfortunately tough boating conditions throughout much of the day tomorrow. And then they'll pick up again on Saturday. It'll be calming down a little bit. Sunday will be the best day for boating, it looks like. That front now has well cleared our area. A few showers off the coast of Florida right now, but all the rain is over. Unfortunately, the storms that moved through did produce some lightning, and quite a bit of it in Venice and South Sarasota County, stretching off into DeSoto County. So this is an area that we may see some fires break out over the upcoming at least 48 hours. Winds will be out of the northwest to north on Friday, and that will keep temperatures on the cooler side right through Friday. Highs expected to be only into the upper 60s to low 70s. The winds pick up with a secondary cold front making its way through. On Friday, the secondary front is not going to produce a lot of clouds because the air is just so dry, but it will keep the temperatures on the cooler side, especially Saturday morning. Lows in the upper 40s to low 50s. Dew point right now at 49. Winds are out of the northwest at 15. And the pressure 2997. The high today 78 degrees. 79 is our normal. We'll be well below that tomorrow. And no rainfall officially at the airport. The RPM forecast model continues to show that secondary front coming through. It may produce a few clouds over Alabama, but not much for us. It moves through and eventually sweeps on through by Friday afternoon. And that will keep temperatures and winds actually out of the northwest, and cooler temperatures anticipated through Saturday, Sunday, and then by Sunday afternoon, we start to get back to more seasonal temperatures with highs in the upper 70s by Sunday. Right now, this big area of low pressure continues to spin over the northeast, causing rainfall, cloudiness from Maine all the way to Ohio, even some snow falling now in Michigan, northern Ohio, all the way over into northeast Indiana tonight. Behind it, just a lot of cold air into Wisconsin and Minnesota, but for us, we're going to stay high and dry here. For boaters, not the best. Seas running 3 to 5 feet and choppy conditions out there for boaters, and northwest winds at 20 knots. They'll subside somewhat after noon and then pick up again in the evening. So it's kind of a back and forth we go as far as the wind and sea state. The water temperature now 78 degrees. Expect a high of 72 for area beaches. Now tides upcoming for Sarasota Bay. High tide will be at 10:12 and a low tide at 5:52. Another high tide just around noon tomorrow. And the sunset, we just had it, or just about to have it in about 2 minutes, and 7:14 for your sunrise tomorrow. Clear skies, breezy and cooler tonight. Mid-50s, that'll be helping out in the electric bill tomorrow with highs in the low 70s, mostly sunny. And the extended forecast calls for cool Saturday, a bit warmer by Sunday afternoon, and it's back to the 80s we go on the work week. Alan will be right back with primetime headlines right after this.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com for Chef Judy's favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
Are you paying too much for your cable or satellite TV? The U.S. government passed a bill mandating free over-the-air digital transmission of all broadcast network television channels. That means with the new TV Freeway digital antenna, you can get free HD programming from your favorite broadcast networks 24/7 without a bill. You just plug it into the back of your TV and start watching all of your favorite broadcast programs for free. There are no contracts to sign, no hidden fees, and no monthly fees. Just free HD broadcast TV. Take it with you anywhere. Call or go online now to get your TV Freeway stick for the incredibly low price of only $14.99. But wait, call or click now and you can get a second TV Freeway stick for a second TV. Just pay a separate fee, but you have to order right now.
Call 1-800-809-5196 to get your TV Freeway. Call now or go to tvfreeway.com. So call 1-800-809-5196. This offer's not in any store. Call now.
Attention sleep apnea sufferers. If you use CPAP therapy, if you have private insurance, or you're on a Medicare replacement plan, we may be able to help you get your CPAP supplies at little or no cost to you and free shipping. Most insurance companies allow a patient to get a new CPAP mask, cushion, filter, and tubing every 3 to 6 months to prevent respiratory infection and skin sores.
That's why you should call AmeriCare CPAP. Call 800-423-5457. That's 800-423-5457.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. Our promise means a new car you'll love. If not, return it for one you do. At Sarasota Ford, we promise live market pricing. We monitor national pricing on our entire inventory, so you get the best deal. In fact, we guarantee it. Bring us any competitor's ad, and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate or shop at Goodwill,
I am creating a job. I am Goodwill, yeah.
Now for your primetime headlines. President Trump tonight is meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Palm Beach at his Mar-a-Lago estate. China's leader is there for a two-day summit. Trump and Xi are expected to discuss trade relations and the threat from North Korea. China is the major economic supporter of North Korea's communist regime. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson says he is hoping to make progress with China on foreign policy.
We're hopeful that China will find ways to exercise influence over North Korea's actions to dismantle their nuclear weapons and their missile technology programs.
We'll have updates on the meeting coming up tonight at 11. President Trump wasn't the only one welcoming China's president. Protesters gathering today at Bingham Island in West Palm Beach to draw attention to arrests in China related to Falun Gong. Falun Gong is a religious sect outlawed in China since 1999 when the Communist Party perceived its rising popularity as a threat. Some of the protesters have family members imprisoned for being part of the group. The United States could soon be taking military action in Syria. President Trump says his thinking about the Assad regime has changed, and he now has a responsibility to act. This follows an apparent chemical weapons attack Tuesday, which left more than 100 people dead. The Assad regime is supported by Russia. New developments in the congressional investigation into links between Russia and the Trump campaign. House Intelligence Chair Devin Nunes is removing himself from the investigation. This comes after he revealed the information that the Trump team was picked up on surveillance of foreigners, and instead of bringing the information to the committee, he first showed it to the president. Here's what Nunes had to say as he rushed out of a closed-door meeting.
I sent out a statement, and that's my statement will stand.
But your response to the complaint specifically?
The House Ethics Committee is now investigating Nunes for possibly obtaining unauthorized classified information during a late-night visit to the White House. Meanwhile, the U.S. Senate is triggering the nuclear option, changing rules to confirm Supreme Court nominees, eliminating the 60-vote minimum to end a filibuster. This clears the path for Judge Neil Gorsuch's confirmation, and it will change the Senate for a long time to come. ABC's Maggie Rulli reports.
Final vote is 55 yeas, 45 nays. Upon reconsideration, the cloture motion is agreed to.
With that, Republicans have gone nuclear. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell celebrating as the nomination of Judge Neil Gorsuch moves forward. But much of the chamber remains serious, understanding the consequences of what just happened. From now on, it will take just a simple majority of 51 senators to approve a Supreme Court nominee, meaning the president's pick could now be confirmed to the nation's highest court without a single Democrat voting yes.
In a post-nuclear world, if the Senate and the presidency are in the hands of the same party, there's no incentive to even speak to the Senate minority. That's a recipe for more conflict.
But Republicans are blaming the Democrats for forcing their hand, calling their filibuster of Neil Gorsuch
unprecedented in the history of our Senate and out of all proportion to the eminently qualified judge who's actually before us.
And reminding Democrats that they went nuclear in 2013. But Democrats counter they only changed the rules for lower courts and made a point to hold the Supreme Court to a higher bar.
I think what Mitch McConnell did today is wrong, and it portends, I think, very contentious days coming into the future.
The mood here on Capitol Hill remains tense, and as the back and forth drama continues, the actual vote to confirm Judge Gorsuch to the Supreme Court is expected Friday night, just before lawmakers head out on a 2-week recess. On Capitol Hill, Maggie Rulli, ABC News.
Here in Florida, taxpayers could soon be paying for anti-abortion pregnancy centers. The State House is passing a bill today to fund these agencies. The bill's Republican sponsor says it gives women more resources for their health care. Under the measure, these centers don't need to have any medical providers on site. Democrats oppose it, saying it provides ideological treatment instead of medical services. These centers can be faith-based but would not be allowed to promote religious messages. Meanwhile, county commissioners from across Florida are in Tallahassee to oppose legislation preventing them from making decisions in their own communities. They say a host of bills under consideration exchange home rule for state mandates. One commissioner says local communities vary greatly and should have decisions tailored to residents.
Florida is one state, but it is 67 counties, and we're very diverse. And what's good for Marion County isn't necessarily good for Miami-Dade, and what's good for Miami-Dade isn't necessarily good for Escambia.
Some of the bills being considered give the state authority over short-term home rentals, business regulations, and homestead property tax exemptions. College presidents and students are also protesting and warning about the impact of budget cuts to higher education. Both the House and Senate plan to cut millions from Florida's 2-year state and community colleges. Ironically, the state Senate wants to actually increase funding to universities by more than 10%. And the former congresswoman from Florida is appearing in federal court today on charges of fraud. Democrat Corrine Brown served in Congress from 1993 until this year. She is charged with using a charity as a personal slush fund. According to the indictment, she and others raised $800,000 through the One Door for Education charity. The organization allegedly gave out 2 $1,200 scholarships and used the rest of the money for the congresswoman's personal expenses. Brown pleaded not guilty at a hearing today. Her former chief of staff and the former president of the charity both pled guilty. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohen. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.